And I think the general consensus is that in order for women to have the greater impact on society overall that we talked about on the last couple of slides, we need what you can see highlighted up here over my head in red, that the government has to begin to make a change. If government doesn't get a more active role, then we're not going to see the kind of equality that women and men are looking for in the feminist movement. So what we'll see is feminists, men and women alike, begin to pushing for a full constitutional equality, because here's the thing, and like newsflash, folks, and I'll highlight it up here in green. There is absolutely nothing in the Constitution, nada, zip, zero, nada at all, that says women and men are equal regardless of sex or gender. It's just not something that's present. So we begin to see feminists push by 1972 for an equal right amendment, an addition to our Constitution. It's what an amendment is, that says, and this is all it says, and I've got it highlighted here for you in blue, that equal rights under the law should not be denied or abridged, shortened or changed by the United States or any state on account of sex. That's all it says. That's all it says. And for an amendment to be ratified, 38 out of 50 states have to approve it. And boy, do a lot of states approve it. I mean, take a look at this, right? Here's your map of states that approve that list. It's a lot of states. Hawaii, Alaska, right? What are we left with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 states. 15 states don't approve it. Well, that's enough, right? Because that's 35 states. The Equal Rights Amendment, which all it says is that we should treat women the same and men the same based on sex, it won't pass. And I know you might find that hard to believe in 2016, that this amendment will not pass in the 10 years that it has to get from the Congress to the states. But opponents, and opponents include women, by the way, like check out this woman here, right? Check out this woman right here that's above my head, right? She's the one who's got the button on that says Stop ERA. Opponents are going to argue all kinds of things when it comes to this amendment. They're going to say that it's going to do all kinds of terrible things to women and women's lives. It's going to do all kinds of things that women aren't ready for and that women don't really want. And look, and you can see some of the examples that I have there for you. This amendment, it's dangerous, the ERA, because it's going to take away, in the name of spurious equality, in other words, an equality that we don't really need, it would take away or deprive women of support from her husband. In other words, the husband wouldn't have to support the wife, or the husband would have an equal right to be supported by his wife. Well, good God, I mean, that's just catastrophic, right, that we support each other. But it would also deprive widows of protections, right, like Social Security benefits, support allowances during settlements for divorces, or if the husband dies, the woman could still get some support without having to work, and all kinds of things, right? They make this argument. And if you notice, those arguments are all based on the premise that the woman is somehow helpless, that the woman somehow isn't capable of supporting herself. Other things like alimony and divorces, single-gender colleges, draft exemptions, all these kinds of things are problematic for opponents of the ERA. And the big one is that women would be drafted and forced into the military in times of war, and this was a real problem for some women in the 1970s. They didn't want this at all. Remember, we're coming off of Vietnam, so this is definitely an issue that makes some women upset. But just to point out here that even in the 70s, there's resistance to having full and equal rights. And we still don't have an Equal Rights Amendment, believe it or not. We still don't have one. So look for that in the next 10 to 20 years as issues like transgenderism and other kinds of issues with LGBTQ issues are brought forward for people to kind of look at what an Equal Rights Amendment should mean in America based on not just sex, but also on gender identity and sexual preference. So we'll take a look at that as we kind of go in further detail. But I do want to give one other area of conflict in this that's important, at least in terms of today's America and how that plays out.